Hello, everybody, and welcome to our brand new podcast. This is our Darlington College podcast, where we are going to be delving into the stories behind the college. There's a lot that goes on in the college, and quite often people don't actually know much about the stories. So today we are delighted to be joined by Mr. David Gartland. How are you, sir?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. I like the formal introduction as well.
Yes, sir. Do you like that?
I like
there
it
we go.
lot.
Yeah, so... Well, first of all, who are you?
Wow, there's a question. Who am I? So I'm David Gartland. I'm the new CEO and principal of Darlington College. I started here in September. I'm from the Northeast originally, from Durham, and left when I was 18 and went to do a degree down in London, sports science and teaching degree, and then stayed in London and worked in education. I've always been in education, always worked in post-16 colleges, and spent a lot of time in South London originally. Loved it, absolutely loved it, but loads of challenges, as you can imagine. But worked with a great team of people and had some brilliant outcomes for young people, which is what education's all about.
But you missed the Northeast, is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, do you know what? I did my degree in London, and I thought, I'll do a year and I'll come home. That was always the intention. So I went down there, did the degree, did my first year. That went well in teaching. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the college I was at, and then promotions happened. Got head of department, then you become head of faculty, and you buy into the organisation you're at. You get that relationship with people, and then it becomes difficult to leave. So I ended up spending 12 years in South London, and I have to say I loved every minute of it. So yeah, it was an exciting time. Then I got the opportunity to do something that's quite unique in education. That was to open up a new college that hadn't been built, and that was up in Lowestoft in Suffolk. So in 2010, I had the opportunity to go up there and just establish a new college in a really, really challenging area, an area that had real issues with deprivation, real issues with education performance. And that was a really exciting project.
So a brand new college, like off the shelf, let's go for it.
It wasn't even off the shelf. It was a hole in the ground. Yeah, so it was a bit of a leap of faith, because my college in London was very established, quite traditional. It had been there for years and years. And I left that job, relocated the family up to Suffolk, a place I'd never really been to, for a hole in the ground, and a few architectural drawings and things like that.
So you were involved at the stage when there was drawings? Is that like that level?
Yes,
no students anywhere near it?
No students, no staff. I went up as the vice principal in the first instance, later became the principal, but in the first instance I was the vice principal, and there was me and the founding principal. It was us two to start with, and we had to work with the builders to get the building right. We had to work with the architects, the engineers, everything that goes with putting a building up, which was just an interesting challenge, but it was exciting. We had to recruit all the staff for the college, and then we had to recruit all the students, and recruiting students, convincing families that we were the right place for them. When you haven't got a building and you haven't got staff, it can be a challenge. But we turned the educational landscape around in Lowestoft, and collectively we managed to make that the best performing college in the country for 3 years on the bounce, which was just a brilliant success story
from the get go.
No.
Sorry, my misunderstanding.
It took a bit of blood, sweat, and tears, but we put a good group of people together. It took a long time to form, but I think it was probably within about 4 or 5 years we became the college that added the most value to young people. And we did that for 3 years on the bounce, which was just an incredible achievement.
So you were trying to bring students into a college that didn't exist to be taught by teachers that didn't currently exist in post.
Yes.
What a challenge that was. I mean, how did you overcome those sort of barriers?
Well, it was trying to sort of draw on your experiences, and first of all, getting a good group of people together to join you on that journey, So it was bringing all of those people together and convincing them that you had a vision for what you wanted to achieve, having a vision of what your college was going to look like, what it was going to feel like. And of course, it was new because you had all of those people joining you, and there was nothing to join. So it was just literally us having to convince them about how we would do it, how it would be a success. Some people look at you like you're crackers and think, is this really going to work? Is it not going to work? So it's a leap of faith for lots of people. Once we had the team together, then we could go out and we could speak to the schools, we could speak to the parents, we could speak to the students, and then we were able to convince them that it was worth a shout. And the college grew year on year, and it became really successful.
So what was your biggest lessons that you had in terms of obviously trying to tell people that you've set this college up? What were the biggest lessons you learned in terms of finding that success?
Yeah, do you know, assume nothing, I think, was probably the biggest. Don't assume that people will believe you when you tell them what you're doing. Don't assume that people understand what you're telling them. Just because you've said it doesn't mean that they've heard it or they've understood what you're trying to achieve. So I think that was probably the biggest lesson that I took from that whole experience, as well as working with contractors, subcontractors, local authorities, schools. All the complexities of running any business and organisation came with it. But I think put it down to assume nothing. Assume absolutely nothing. Take nothing for granted, and make sure you're clear with your communications with people.
That's brilliant. What a story! That is incredible.
Well, yeah. I mean, and that was so. I was there until I was 2017, 2018, and then the college was doing brilliantly. We'd gone through Ofsted, had a really good outcome from that, and we were getting really good results year on year. And that's when I got the opportunity to do it all again. Another brand new college in Bury St Edmunds.
If you hadn't have enough punishment the first time round, you went back for more, did you?
Yeah. I mean, it was an interesting one because throughout my career, I've never left anywhere unhappy. I've always been happy with my job, but it was just the opportunity to do it again and exactly the same project. And not many people have done it. A lot of people have gone from job to job, but there is a different skill set needed to go and start something from scratch. So I think that's what attracted them to come and talk to me about that position. And I hummed and hawed as you do with these things, but then did it all again as the principal from the start on that one. And we again created the most incredible college, brilliant outcomes. Managed to get Ofsted in and got grade ones for everything, and wow. It was brilliant working again. It's about the people you work with. It's about making sure they understand what your vision is, then buying into what your vision is, and then being a team, just working together, being a collective, and going out and achieving it. And that's what we did.
I think that's an incredible story. What I'm going to do though is pull you right back. So
okay.
That's kind of the journey we're going to get to Darlington. So don't worry about that. But I think the good thing for me there is obviously you're telling us that you went to London, started working, it's kind of weaved this path for you going through. Yeah. What actually made you start to get involved in education in the first place? Why did you want to do it?
Yeah, do you know what? It's an interesting one. I mean, I'm not one of these people who'd ever say, I spent my whole life thinking I wanted to be a teacher and all of this. Completely honestly, it never really crossed my mind. I left school with pretty much next to nothing in terms of qualifications, which was interesting. And I left, and I always remember my dad saying, "Listen, you got a year to sort yourself out, son. You're not sitting around. You're not. You and your mates aren't just hanging around the house." Yeah, he says you got a year. If you want to try and do it again, then you can. But you got a year to do it. So I went to college in Durham. And there was a teacher there. There was so many great teachers, but there was one in particular who just inspired me and took an interest in what I was doing, and didn't really take account of the fact that I'd left school with nothing. He seemed to recognise that there was something in us, and he just supported me and gave me the confidence and encouragement.
What were you studying during that period?
So I went back and had to do all my GCSEs again. Okay. So I had to go back and do them all. And as I say, I'd left with poor qualifications. Didn't work hard at school. I played a lot of sport and all the rest of it. And I went back and I resat my GCSEs and passed them all. So sociology, history, maths, English. I just did them all again, but passed them all, and I got a couple of B's as well and things like that. Yeah. I mean, it was unbelievable, and that was the year that basically then made me think, do you know what? I can actually do something. I'm not too bad. But he was the one that inspired me to stay in education, progress, do some A levels, and then said, "Why aren't you going to university?" And I said, "Well, what am I going to do at university?" He said, "You'd be a good teacher." I said, "I don't know about that." I said, "I don't know about that. I haven't got any patience." Yeah. He said, "Well, work in a sixth form." He said, different skill set needed, and I'd done some coaching with football and ice hockey and things that I played when I was younger, and I thought, I could do that, and that's what took me to London, and did my sports science and teaching degree combined, but that was what made me think about it, and
So you're a working example, I'd say, in terms of, obviously you went and resat your GCSEs, and then you moved on to college education, and then you're away. Yeah. What made you resit your GCSEs as opposed to just, like going and working in trade or an apprenticeship, or what was that decision like?
Well, it was kind of because I'd left with pretty much, I passed English, and that was it, and my brother was a few years older than me, and he'd gone to college, and he'd done really well. And I think it was a conversation with him, it was a conversation with my dad, and just being told that actually you could get some qualifications. Let's get the qualifications first, and then you can make an informed decision about what you want to do in the future. And it's about people around you, it's about your background, it's about what you've done and what you're interested in. And the only thing I was interested in growing up was sport.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, that's the only thing I was really had any interest in. And I didn't know what other jobs there were. I didn't know what careers were available to me, So it was kind of, what do I do? So, I mean, I think I probably should sit here and say, I've always wanted to be a teacher. I've always wanted to do that. But I kind of do it because it's not, I fell into it, to be honest with you. And I just thought I'd give it a go.
Is it more you didn't realise that you wanted to do it rather than falling into it, perhaps?
Yeah. I mean, I've loved it. I mean, that's the thing I have to say. I've always thought I've had the best job in the world. I was always grateful. I worked in schools during my teacher placement, and I enjoyed them, but I was teaching sport, and it wasn't what I wanted to do. I didn't want to be out on a sports field actually teaching younger children how to play sport and things. I preferred the more theoretical side of it. And I always enjoyed working with older students as well. So that's how I sort of got into working with a sixth form. But my first job once I graduated was in a sixth form college. And I honestly, I just thought I've got the best job in the world here. I mean, we had a good laugh.
So was that teaching sport studies?
Teaching sports science, Science. So it was teaching on the A level and also teaching on the vocational as well. Teaching across the programs and taught on some other vocational programs as well. And as I say, I absolutely loved it. And just working with those young people, you knew you were making a difference, and I knew what a difference a good teacher could make because of my experiences at college when I left. Exactly. And that's something that I've just carried with us all the way through. All the way through, it's don't give up on people. Give them another chance. Try and inspire them and tell them what they can do and what they can achieve. So yeah.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that. I think I think it's a really important part of your story. Yeah. In terms of how you've come, but I suppose, obviously you've been building schools with no students in. Yeah. Essentially in charge of nothing, but a hole in the ground. Yeah. And then to start with, and then obviously building that up to being really successful. I mean, it's a real achievement. I suppose the next bit would be good to understand is obviously you've come to Darlington in September. Yeah. First of all, what motivated you to do that, and also. How has it been? Because we're in January now, time of recording. Yeah. So how's your first few months been? So the first part is why, and then the second part is how's it been so far?
So the why is a good one because, as I say, I had a good job. It was all going well. We'd just been Ofsteded and got grade ones across everything. Results were great. It was all very happy days, There was something about the pull of coming back to the Northeast, which has been there since I was a youngster. I always thought I did want to come back. And then the job came up. I'd seen it and I thought, well, I'll explore it. I'll see what it's like. Didn't know much about the college, to be honest with you. And obviously it had been 30 years since I'd lived in the Northeast. Family is still up here and things, but I hadn't lived here. And like any interview, and I say it to people when I interview them, an interview is a two-way process. I never assume the person opposite me definitely wants to come to the college to work. I always think of these things as two-way processes. So I thought I'd just explore it, to be honest with you. I always give things my best shot. So I put the best application in I could do and did the best I could do in the sort of the pre-interview tasks and all the rest of it. And you progress. And
were they nice to you? The
no, the interview was nice. The pre-interview tasks were shocking. I got absolutely hammered in them. But that's what you got to do. You got to test the field. You've got to put people through it. You know. So no, it was all right.
You survived the grueling.
I survived that. I survived that.
Brilliant.
And got through to the interview. So you do your research as you go through each of the different stages, and I thought, it seems all right, but it's all superficial stuff. It's looking at the website, it's speaking to people that you might know who've heard of the college, and doing that bit of research. And then I came up, and it was a 2-day process. So did day one, and every interaction I had was a positive one, and I thought, doesn't feel like people are just saying it because I'm a candidate. It didn't feel fake. It felt genuine, and it felt authentic, the interactions I was having with people. And I just go back to the ways in which I believe educated, to go on the extra mile for people, caring about the people that you're looking after and you're educating, giving them a good educational experience, put that wraparound care and support in place, all of those things that's so important to a good education. Everyone I met to just talked about them. Everyone was just saying, this is what we do, this is how we do it. And I finished the day, and then if there's the cull, so you don't know if you've got through it the next day. And I was staying at my mum's, so because obviously my mum's in Durham, and I went back and she was like, how's it gone? And I said, do you know what? I like it, Mum. I like it. I like the people I've met. And I said, so I hope I get through to day 2. And then I got the call saying I'm through to day 2. So I phoned my wife and I said, I'm through to day 2. And she said, right, so we might be moving. I said, no. So I'm just through to day 2. We'll have to see how it goes,
Yeah, 100%.
And I went into day 2 and I got exactly the same feel. The interview, it's tough. It is tough. You get, I don't know, I probably got asked about 150 questions from 6-7 different interviews over those 2 days, but it felt like a really positive experience. And then I was lucky enough to be offered the job, and I was delighted, and I didn't think I would be. I thought I'd be in a bit of a quandary as to what do I do, but I wasn't. So I just had to make the phone call to my wife and say, listen, I fancy it, and she was hugely supportive.
Like, we're moving back up north.
Yeah. We're heading up north, and so that's it's obviously a little bit of organising because she has a lot going on with her work and things like that, and still does. So we just had to organise those sorts of things. But absolutely delighted.
Brilliant. So coming on to how has it been first few months? I've heard that apparently when you're getting your food. People getting their food at lunchtime, the catering staff are telling them what you've had to eat that day. So you've obviously had the impact, like it's some kind of dish of the day.
I tell you,
it's what's David had today. Is that on the menu now? What's David had today? There should be a blackboard or something, surely.
There should be something. The canteen's too good. I'll tell you that right now. The house we've moved into needs a brand new kitchen, and we can't cook very well in it. So I'm eating in the canteen, and it's just too good. I'm going there every day, and they're feeding me up. So
they know it because they're telling everyone else what you've been eating. So how's your first few months been? Obviously September through to January now. How's it been? Yeah, do you know what? It's been everything I hoped it would be, and it's been no different to the experience I got when I first walked through the door. I think it's different because I've gone into an established college, which I hadn't done since my first one. The rest of it, as you're saying, had all been set up from scratch. So it's different in that sense, but that experience I got on those first few days when I walked through the door, the way people work, the way people go that extra mile, the care they put into the work, their commitment, I just see that day on day. And I just think that's what makes the college, the college is nice, the building's great, it's all nice, the facilities, they're incredible. I mean, there's a lot of industry equipment in that college, and
all of that. But it's, for me, it's always people that make the difference to an educational experience. You know, they can make do and mend with kit that's not quite as good as it might be, or they can have the best kit in the world. If you haven't got the best teacher or the best member of staff supporting you, it's just gathering dust, you know. So you need to get that balance right. But I'm just working with people who are hugely dedicated to doing the best job they can every single day. And if you've got that attitude, I think, you know, we'll all make mistakes. Do you know what I mean? I've made hundreds of them, and I carry on doing that, and everyone else will. But if you've got an environment where it doesn't matter if you make a mistake, if you learn from it, if you develop, you grow, then that's okay. And that's what we've got. We've got people who are trying new things. We've got people who are, you know, experimenting with different things, and loads of it is working really well. And where it doesn't, we put it right. But attitudinally, you've got people who want to do the best by the people that we serve. So
I think the thing that struck me about the college when I first, you see the front. Everyone sees the front because it's on the main road. Everyone sees it. But what people don't see is, I don't want to use the word bowels, but what's in the depths of the college, because the facilities are just phenomenal. Yeah. It blew me away when I first saw it, and it just keeps going. And you're like, you know, there's all kinds of facilities, from a garage, like, and the size of it is massive. I was just like, these are incredible. So, like, to have that well equipped and well positioned, coupled with the staff, it's the dream combination, surely.
I agree. I mean, you know, the college is great, but it can seem like quite an intimidating place. It's like that big glass frontage and all the rest. So I get that completely. And it's kind of, you walk through the door, but then it's the people that greet you. And as you say, you've got the kitchens that are industry standard. So if you learn to do hospitality and catering, that's the place to do it. We've got the robotics labs, the immersion rooms. You know, all of these things are just getting people ready for the workplace. They're getting them ready to be in the workplace, or they're getting them ready for further study and going off to university. And it's an incredible place to be, and it's a great place to work.
Absolutely. So on to that then. Obviously, it'd be great to see what you think about, you know, obviously the position with T-levels and sort of the changing landscape that we're seeing in education at the moment. I mean, you know, what are your thoughts? How do you see it? How do you see your role in the college and the direction of the college going? So I mean, I think in terms of T-levels, I think T-levels are a great qualification. They're academic qualifications. They prepare people for university. They prepare people for the world of work. There's more of them to come on board, and it's not without challenge for us. There are things like they have to go on 45 days work experience, which great, you know, to get meaningful work experience. Superficially, that's an amazing thing to do. Organising it, making it meaningful is a challenge. And the more T-levels that come on board, the more we need to provide these opportunities with people, with employers. So they're a great qualification. There's a lot of academic rigour that goes with them. It prepares them well for university, prepares them well for the world of work. It does all of those things, but they're not without challenge because they're taking over. So there's a lot of qualifications that are being defunded and declassified, and that is giving us a challenge. But do you know what? Colleges, they rise to the challenge all the time. That's what we do. We adapt and we're agile in our response. So that's what we'll continue to do and make sure that we provide that high quality education for people. I think that leads me to, you know, where's the college at and what do we have to do? I think working with businesses, working with employers, not just for those 45 days work experience, but in terms of supporting the businesses in training their existing workforce. You know, what can we do to help them? How do we provide them with the next generation of workforce coming through? They're all important things for us to take. Yeah, so while 16 to 18 is obviously, that's what people tend to think when they think college. I know personally that you've got a huge adult learning offer, delivering all kinds of courses. So you can work with employers basically to take them through that. Is that right?
Absolutely, and that's part of the college's role within the community. We're there to help local businesses. We want businesses to be successful in the area. We want them to grow and increase their workforce, because that means they need more people into jobs. So we have the students who can be the next sort of pipeline for them coming through. We've got apprentices who we can place with them and things. And then we've got the adult provision where, you know, if they've got workforce that needs upskilling or changing, you know, we're there to provide that education for them and provide that support.
Yeah, I think matching that with Darlington being really well placed at the moment with the Treasury, obviously the railway developments. There's a huge amount going across Tees Valley, never mind just Darlington.
Yeah,
It's a really good location to be.
absolutely. I mean, people say, "Oh, you've got everything in London." London's not without its challenge, and actually, and if I look at my Suffolk days again, that more rural than we are up here in Darlington. People from the local authority were kind enough to take me around Darlington and looking at all the bit. I was taken back with the number of businesses that we have in the town. I mean, I'm not talking about the government, the influx of government jobs and civil service jobs that are coming, but the companies that we have in Darlington, there's a huge number of them, and they will need help. They will need support. They'll need a workforce that need upskilling. They'll need people to come through, from the 16 to 18 programs. They'll need apprentices. And I think our job is to make sure they know about us, to make sure that we're sort of front and centre to any conversation that's happening about what their needs are, because we can help them with it.
100%. So a little call to action to employers there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If you want any training, get in touch.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's our job as well. And we're going out, and we want to be an outward facing organisation. We want to go out and talk to them as we do. Yep. But if they need anything, then without question, they need to get in touch with us.
Splendid. Right. Okay. So vocational training. It's probably been an area, certainly when I was growing up locally in Darlington, when it was at its former site, I was very aware that you could access a lot of the vocational training opportunities. Having seen the college and the facilities firsthand, like I said, I was blown away by some of them. The plumbing, the area where they do the plumbing is fantastic. There's like loads of little bathrooms going on at once. Yes, I thought that's genius. I was like, well, how else do you teach someone to do this? But yeah, I suppose, in terms of the college's position and the position that we're seeing, not just in, professional services and businesses, but there's a huge amount going on in trade and industry. I mean, how important is that to the college and the region?
I mean, it's just vital. I mean, in terms of, we've got some unbelievable courses taking place at the college, and what you have is you've got people who are coming through. They're learning from industry experts. That they haven't just been in education. They've been on site. They've been in the trade, and they're passing on those skills to those young people and getting them ready to take on the mantle, to set up their own businesses, to be part of bigger employers. So I mean, it's so important because we've got the facilities. So when they go into the workplace, it's not, what's this? How do you do this? We're using the equipment that they're going to be using. We're talking to businesses as well about what they want. What's the skills that they want their next generation of workforce to have? And then we're teaching them specific techniques in line with the businesses. So we need the businesses, and we do work collaboratively to help shape the curriculum, to help shape how we're delivering these programs. The college, as you say, I mean, we've got the brake, we've got the plumbing, we've got the motor vehicle, we've got workshops. They've got the right teachers, they've got the right equipment, but they've also got the space as well, which is really important. We've got a great site where they have the space to do the work that they need to do. But it's about getting them ready for the workplace, and it's that quality teaching. It's using the equipment. It's teaching them all the techniques and strategies that they need to be successful. And then that's what we do. That's just what we do year on year. And as I say, they're learning from experts within those trades as well. And it doesn't get better than that. It just gets them ready for their jobs.
So obviously, I imagine one challenge is having the space for all of these things.
Yes.
Because like I say, it just keeps going. You see the front of the building. It is big. It is impressive. But in terms of when you go through the corridors, it just keeps going and going and going. Yeah. I think the next challenge you have, and you just touched on it about technology. Our camera operator today, as you met earlier, has been through the apprenticeship scheme at the college and is no longer on the apprenticeship scheme on the college, but obviously well equipped for the workplace. Yeah. But I bet the challenge is, and I was saying this because bearing in mind with the camera operator behind there, there's a fantastic media studio, for example. Yeah. Now, I've been in that media studio. That must have cost an absolute fortune. Yeah. So I bet, yes, all right, space is one thing. You solved that problem. Yeah. Go into some of the tech that you've got in that building, because it is incredible. Some of the technology you've got in there is brilliant.
Yeah. it's that ongoing investment, and that's the thing. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and complain about funding and all the rest of it, because we all know the situation in terms of college funding. It needs to be better. If we genuinely value post-16 education, you have to fund it. Simple as that. The facilities we have, we come up with different ways of accessing funds and pots of money and things like that to make sure that we do have the facilities. So they're industry level equipment that we have. You can always do more. You always can do more. But I'm proud of the facilities that we've got. You know, we've got resources that when those people go into the workplace, whether it is, you know, from the 16 to 18 programs, when they go in, it's not looking at something like a media desk and thinking, well, what's this? I've never seen anything like it, because they've used that equipment, they've used those facilities. So it's all very familiar. And that's an important part of being at college, you know. It's about making sure there's no surprises once you leave us. But again, it's linked to that sort of collaborative working with employers. It's working with them to help shape the curriculum delivery that we do. And it's the same with the apprenticeship program, you know, that their employees, they come to us for 1 day a week, and that 1 day a week when they're with us, we want to help shape the skills that they're doing. We don't want to teach them something different to what they've been doing for the 4 days leading up to it, whether it's the technique on how to build a brick wall, or whether it's, you know, managing a media desk, whatever it might be. We've got to be in tune with the employers and making sure that we're upskilling the students in the right way, getting them ready for that workplace or to go on to higher education. Yeah,
I think familiarity is so important when it comes to trying to get the job in the, you know, if you think back to trying to get your first job. So you know, it's like, how do you get your first job without having a previous job doing exactly that? Whereas if you're doing the courses and you've got access to the equipment, the environment, I mean, even just things that you don't really think about, but even, you know, say the workshop where they do all the garage work, health and safety. Just being in that environment will give them a natural understanding on how to operate safely and efficiently, which, yes, you can teach it, but they actually get to put it into practice.
Absolutely.
And I think that's really invaluable. So when they go to that workshop, they're comfortable with the space. They know what they should be doing, and they know what everything is, and hopefully know what everything is and what they should be doing.
Yeah, and you sort of touched on it a little bit there. The other thing is about the sort of the attitude and the behaviours of those people as well. You know, it's about like health and safety and things. It's about how do you conduct yourself in the workshop? How do you behave? What's your attitude? What are your communication skills like? So it's one thing, I mean, you know, you could sit in a darkened room and probably learn some of the skills that you're doing. But most people in most jobs, it's about relationships. It's about, you know, trusting one another. It's about, in your competence in the job, but it's also about trusting each other and being able to communicate with one another on a daily basis as well. So yes, we teach people the skills, but we're trying to teach people to be positive citizens as well, you know, making positive contributions to the community. And that can be in a small way. I'm not saying everyone has to go out and do fundraising or anything like that, but it could just be contributing positively to the workplace, you know, but communicating with people in a clear way, being positive, making a positive contribution to whatever it is you end up doing. That's a huge part of what we do at the college as well. And if you do one without the other, you could be dead positive, you could be a great team player, but you don't have the skills to do whatever you need to. That's not great. If you go and you've got all the skills, you know, you could mend a car, but you can't talk to a customer. Well, again, that's not great either. So it's trying to sort of develop the whole person, really. I think that's a really important thing to try and do, and that's what we spend a lot of time doing at the college.
And this last one that I want to touch on in terms of vocational, I've been saving it. The Glass House restaurant. That is incredible. So just for people that don't know what it is, describe it to me.
So the Glass House restaurant is our in-house restaurant. We use our own kitchens, and it's our students who are producing the meals. It's our students who are serving the meals. They're acting as front of house. It's basically a real life experience of working in a restaurant, and of course they're supported by a brilliant team of professionals behind them, of lecturers and support staff who are basically guiding them. Now, they will make mistakes to start with, for sure. You know, when you start at the start of anything, you're learning and you make mistakes. But blimey, they learn quick on the job. You know,
well,
if you've got a table of people. I
attended an event and it looked they brought out this tray of food. And I was just like, wow, they did that. That's incredible. You know, students, and that's not being disrespectful.
No.
I was blown away with the standard of the quality of the stuff that you see. And genuinely recommend it. People can go and eat there, can't they?
Yes, they can. We have lunchtime services that are taking place, and I have to say, everyone who I've taken in, and I've only been there a few months, but we did a Christmas meal for all our governors. Everyone who goes we get that reaction. Yeah. They're not expecting the standard and the quality of food or service that you get from the restaurant, and so it's a great advert for the college because it shows people what we're all about. Actually, it shows them the skill. It shows them, what young people can do, which is incredible. But it also shows those attitudes and those behaviours, and they do it in bucket loads. So yeah,
they're brilliant. Honestly, I'd highly recommend if you can drop into the Glasshouse restaurant. And that is not a sales pitch. You should just, you should just go and experience it. It is really, really impressive.
Absolutely.
And I think it's a real credit to the college. So one last thing that I've got to ask you about.
Go on.
Ambition is the word.
Mm-hmm.
So what are your ambitions?
So listen, the college is in a great place, and we're doing really, really well. What do we want to do? I think we want to be that outward-facing organisation that works with businesses, it works with employers, it works as part of a community. People often say, oh, the community is this, the community is that. We are the community. The college is part of the community, and we deliver high quality education. We put all that wraparound care and support around for students to make sure that they're successful in whatever they're doing, whatever age they are, and we'll continue to do that. So for me, the ambition is to provide high quality education, provide that wraparound care and support, make sure our students are progressing, whether that's in the workplace, whether that's the higher education, whether that's through that reskilling, and that's us engaging with employers, working with businesses, and being a positive part of the community, and working with the schools, helping the schools and making sure that people understand what we are as a college, what we do well, and how we can be a positive contributor to the community in which we live.
That's splendid. So if you had, let's say you've got a message to someone considering college, 16 to 18.
Right,
okay,
yes.
A message to an adult learner who is possibly thinking about a course but doesn't know what they want to do or wants to retrain, and then a message to an employer. So let's go 16 to 18. What would you say to the 16-year-olds, 18-year-olds who are considering college?
So do you know what? I would say look at lots of places, and that might seem odd, but I would say go and look at lots of places and make an informed choice about where you want to go, because compare us to other places, compare the kit that we have, the resources we have, compare the welcome that you get when you come and see us, and just make an informed decision about where you want to do your post-16 education, because I'm confident they'll choose us because of all the things that we've talked about on this podcast. That's what I would honestly say. And I think if you want to specialise in something, if you've got something that you absolutely, whether that's media, whether it is construction, whether it is the hospitality, catering, sport, whatever it might be, if you want to specialise in a subject, come to college, because you'll learn everything you can about it. You'll learn the ins and outs, and then you'll be ready to go on, get a job which has prospects, or go off to university and progress that way as well.
Splendid. Okay, so for our adult learners,
it's really simple. If you're listening to this and you're thinking, do you know what? I wish I had the skills in this, in that, whatever it might be. Contact us, look and see what our prospectus says, and see what courses that we have available, because we've got a lot of opportunities, and a lot of those courses are free.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not going to ask you to list them because they are long.
No, there's
long.
Yeah, there's thousands of them, and I think people would be surprised about what the offer is. But I think it's a case of, is it leisure learning? Is it something that you're interested in doing, or is it something that will help your career? Is it something that's going to enhance you as an employee, that will help you in your career progress? And have a look and see what we can do. And as I say, a lot of those courses are free to access, so take advantage of them and get those skills, get those qualifications, and you'll feel better about yourself because you've gained a new skill, but it might help your career as well.
Exactly. And then finally, employers, you've touched on them a few times.
Employers,
sounds like you want to hear from them.
Yeah, I do. I want to hear from them. I want to make sure that we're doing our job as the local college. I want to make sure that we're engaging with them. If we're not doing something that they want to, get in touch and let us know. If we can help them with their business, help support them, whether they're a new business, whether they're existing business in the town, they need to know who we are, and we want to engage with you. So, that's for us as well. We'll carry on doing the great work that we do. But if we haven't made contact, get in touch with us.
Absolutely. Website.
It's always the website.
Darlington.ac.uk. Start there, and then you can work from there.
Yeah, absolutely.
That has been really interesting. It's great to hear about your journey, how you started, how you got into it, developing the schools that weren't built, the colleges that weren't built. And it's been a real pleasure to talk to you.
Oh, likewise.
So thank you. And I mean, being the first guest.
I know. The pressure.
But no one else has got an excuse now, have they?
They've got to do it. They've got to do it. No, it's been a pleasure.
Brilliant.
Thanks very much.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.